Alright, I'm back. Now, you're going to want to make sure it's empty before you take it apart, otherwise it's going to smell, because that's what propane does. You also want to make sure your work area is somewhat ventilated, because it's going to stink anyways, because that's what it does, it's propane. First things you do, you take that off, probably mess with that on your own. You have to remove one screw. And then the whole inside will slide easily out. Couple things to worry about are these. As you can see, they fly out, they fly everywhere. The only thing that holds them in is the fact that they're in a magazine. Next, I'll take apart the entire outside first. There's 2 pins right here which hold this whole section on. Easy to punch those out. And then this comes off. Now there's no point in worrying about sealing this or putting anything else through here, because this isn't where it leaks. It can't leak here because the valve is inside there further. Next, the part that holds the BBs. This will fly apart very easily, so you have to be careful when you disassemble. Comes in 2 parts. The most important part, well, it's all equally important. The spring. Then you have this, the 3-chamber awesomeness that they claim is really awesome. And it is awesome because it works really well. Even though it'll develop a leak occasionally. As it is, 1 screw holds the bottom 2 together and 1 screw holds the top 2 together. So we'll take that apart. Now there are 3 major washers in this system. This is my washer plate. It's got silicone lube in the bottom. There's the big washer here, which is your most likely, if you ever have a magazine leak, it's probably this washer, or this O-ring that's leaking. Not washer, sorry. O-ring. It's O-rings, 3 O-rings. If you ever have a leak, it's probably this seal here. I'll show you what to do when that happens. The next O-ring you have to worry about is this one. Now I got an aftermarket O-ring, if you will. It's bigger, but it seals just as well. This is the one they come with. I'm working on trying to get aftermarket O-rings to replace the stock ones, but I haven't found any yet. The next screw to take apart for this magazine is in there. You don't have to take it all the way apart from here, but they do slide out. But I'm not going to. This shows your second O-ring. Right here, smaller. I've never had any of this O-ring leak on anything I've done on any of my mags yet. And I have 9. Next part you'll see in there is the inside valve. This. These are the 3 main parts of your magazine. I've never managed to get this apart. I think it is beyond my skill level, but I haven't needed to because they haven't leaked yet. As with this, hasn't leaked yet either. Now, if you have a leaky mag, the easiest thing to do, when I found it, is simply go through, get your O-ring all lubed up again, place it on. Once it's nice and lubed, I use a particular kind of lube. It is the Mad Bull Ultimate Silicone Oil by Mad Bull. Made in Germany, packaged in Taiwan. It works pretty well. I haven't had any gripes with it, other than it's an oil and it gets everywhere. Simply, if it's not already lubed up, you can add a couple drops. Place this on. Make sure it's going the right way. It'll match the curve of the magazine. Simply screw back in. Next, take your O-ring, the larger one. Make sure there's no dirt and grime here. Wrap it on. This is probably too much. I probably used too much oil here, but a drop on each side. Place this on. Next, my aftermarket O-ring. Slide that in there. Push it down in there. Your screw. Now if you're going with dry O-rings, I would recommend you put a drop in there too. Screw it in hand tight. And this won't leak anymore. Now just wipe off the outside, get as much of that extra grease off as you can. Maybe you can put it in water to see if it makes sure it's not leaking, but 99% of the times I've had a leaky mag, that was the only issue. Just had to take it apart, re-lube the O-rings, put it back together. Once you've got that done, wiped off, it should be good to go. You can charge it if you want. I don't have any propane near me, so I'm not going to. Next thing to do, put this part back together. The spring will only fit this on one end, so that it can't be confused. Put the narrow end of the spring in the bottom. This top of the spring in the top. This goes to the outside because this is where your mechanism is that causes it to know when it's empty. Push that in, lock it together. That's good. Next, place it in here. This goes on top. You might have to push in together right here in order to make it work. Your two pins should go in easy with your fingers. And it's pretty much ready to go from here. Slide it back in. Two more things right before you're completely done. You have to put these two pins back in. Now this pin has a depression here. I don't know if you can see it very well, my light kind of sucks. That goes towards the magazine and above that notch there. This one goes on here and below this. This is what causes your magazine to lock when you're out. If you're using this weapon for video or movies and you just want a blowback action all the time, you would just take these pins out and your magazine will always, your gun will always fire as if it were a full mag. Push that in there. Get your screw. And your magazine is good to go. Now just to give you an idea of how much experience I've had with these magazines, this is all of my magazines. I have 9 in total. I use this weapon, this airsoft gun, in full-size games regularly, and every 2 weeks I have to go through and change or re-oil the O-rings on 2 to 3 of these magazines. Just last week I did the whole thing. I did the whole crew at once, re-oiled, re-washed, redid everything on every one of these magazines, and none of them are leaking yet. So it's pretty good. If you have a leaky mag, it's not really an issue. It's 5 minutes of maintenance and you're good to go.